My people, it's your girl, Professor EvaMarieKing. It is a Afro Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. Been doing an audio blog, decided I just do video. I'm in Manhattan on my way shopping, and just want to say hey. I'm going to do a few blogs on the true history of Queens hip hop. And I'm going to every town that was active in park jam, some say disco DJing, and which led on to, house parties, block parties, and hip hop DJing. We're going to do the chronological order of things based on the surviving pioneers in Queens. And I know, shout out Overhaul, Hollis, Queens. Shout out Davey DMX, Hollis, Queens. Shout out to Disco Twins Astoria. Like, we're getting it from the mouth of those who invented it. We're just talking about what was going down in Queens, that's all. Things were going down all over the city, but, for my youngins and me being a professor, now everything's at the touch of your fingers, but you could go, oh, let me just punch this in. Let me see who Professor EvaMarieKing is. No, back then, you couldn't do that. It took like 2 tokens. I had to actually get on the bus and leave SouthSide, Jamaica, Queens, and go to the South Bronx, where my homegirl lived, to find out what was popping in Bronx River Community Center. And we all partied together. I don't know where all this arguing came from about who did what first and who did. Nobody was thinking about that back in the day. We was all just partying, having a good time. Bronx River Community Center, James Monroe High School, Ecstasy Garage, T-Connection, Audubon Ballroom up in Harlem. So I just encourage everyone who participated early on to make video statements. I'll tell you what I did personally, but it's important that I explain to the young people the term hip-hop and what it means to me. You may have a different definition, so we'll go through that. And as for now, we just want to say, for the borough of Queens, our DJs was DJing since the early 70s. And when folks say, oh, it's just disco DJing, don't think we was out there like John Travolta and Saturday Night Fever, doing disco in the park. In Southside Jamaica, Queens, that town is the first black middle class in New York City. Whatever was happening with black folk in Harlem, Bronx, Brooklyn, it was going down in Southside Jamaica, Queens. So, for the brothers that were B-boys coming out of the Bronx, we had brothers in Queens too. The term B-boy, of course, that came later, but my brother and some of the older brothers would go from borough to parties and freestyling. And they would say, oh, we burned you, or, you got burned on the dance floor. Before the B-boy, B-girl term came out. And I'm going back to 1972, 73. My eldest sister would give house parties in our living room on 118th Avenue, 169th Street. So I'm just giving you my history. Don't get bent out of shape, people from the Bronx and Harlem. This is just my life. So, shout out to everybody that participated. Just record your history so we can teach it to the young people. Because the way I understand it and the way you understand it, they may not get, because we lived it. So, as we get into this Queens Hip-Hop History Timeline project, we're going to be giving a lot of unknown facts about the true history of Queens hip-hop. And we're going to have a chronological timeline with the actual inventors and founders in video form. And that's what it is. And it will only help enhance Black history. If someone tells you a fact and that's how they lived it. You know, we have to accept it unless we have proof of otherwise. Doesn't mean other things weren't going on throughout the rest of the city. When you say, well, when did hip-hop start and where did it start? It didn't start with one person. And let me tell you something. Back in the 70s, it was about the movement. It wasn't about, oh, Flash started everything. Oh, DJ Afrika Bambaataa started everything. Oh, DJ Kool Herc started everything. A lot of that came about when media got involved and started naming our culture. Can't take anything away from folks who were paramount to the early days of what you call hip-hop. But in Southside Jamaica, Queens, we were jamming. And in closing, when I was 9, I was in St. Albans Park baseball field, and the legendary DJ Cypher Sounds was DJing, cutting, mixing, and blending breakbeats in 1975, and MC Spank was rhyming continuously in the park. So if you weren't there and you lived in another part of the city and you didn't see it, what you gonna say? Didn't happen? That's like, you know, a question I had in college. Professor voiced a question. Well, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, does it make a sound? Come on. Just because I wasn't there, I can't say, well, you know, it didn't go down. So this is Black history. This is Queens hip-hop history. And this is the timeline for our youngins. Let's leave this oral history behind for our children. I am your girl, Professor EvaMarieKing, Bachelor of Arts, Master of Science. I am one of the first women to DJ and MC in hip-hop history. I just wanted to DJ. My crew found out when I was 11 that I was really a good MC. It was like, no, you MC. I was like, man, I'm a DJ. I'm a DJ. I ain't MCing. So I still kept DJing. But when it came time to battle behind Building 1 in Graisley Park houses, I was MCing. So that was about, I was 12, 11, 12, that was about 45, 46 years ago. And I still got bars. We out here. It's your girl, Professor EvaMarieKing, soul founder, soul owner, Southside Jamaica Hip Hop Artists Museum. Let's tell the truth, y'all. Let's tell the history, and let's just keep telling it. All of those of you who participated in the early days of jamming, park jamming, hip hop, whatever term you want to use, tell your story for your children so that they know what you did. Southside, we outside. Queens get the money. As always, I'm South Bronx born. Southside Jamaica Queens for life. We out here.